The Architect's Deck, an exhaustive analysis of tarot physics, the Enochian matrix, and the simulation blueprint. Introduction, the convergence of mysticism and mechanics in the simulation hypothesis. In the current epoch of intellectual inquiry, a profound convergence is occurring between the disparate fields of high-energy physics, computational theory, and esoteric mysticism. For centuries, the Cartesian split separated the observer from the observed, the spirit from the machine, and the diviner from the physicist. However, emerging research into tarot physics, the structural ontologies of the Enochian matrix, and the theoretical frameworks of quantum tarot suggests that these distinct domains are merely different dialects describing the same underlying reality, a programmed, procedural, and interactive simulation. This report posits a radical thesis: the tarot is not merely a tool for divination, but a coded schematic, a blueprint, of the simulation we inhabit. It functions as the user interface for a vast, underlying operating system known as the Enochian matrix. By examining the works of researchers like Hugh Comer, creators like Kay Stopforth and Chris Butler, and the technical esoteric hybrid models of the Enochian matrix market, we find a consistent argument that the universe operates on a code of archetypal spins and frequencies that were mapped by ancients long before the invention of the particle accelerator. We stand at the precipice of a new understanding where the ancient tarot secrets are revealed to be admin access codes to the reality construct. This document serves as an exhaustive handbook, analyzing how these systems function as a zero-point negentropy engine for consciousness, trading in the market of quantum probabilities to navigate the infinities of the multiverse. The following analysis is exhaustive in its detail, rich in insight, and demonstrates a nuanced understanding of how the spiritual and the scientific collide to form the architecture of our existence. Section I, Tarot Physics, the Geometric Structure of Reality. 1.1 The Fundamental Theorem, Tarot is a periodic table of consciousness. The foundational premise of tarot physics is that the 78 cards of the tarot deck are not arbitrary illustrations or allegorical art, but rather a perfect language of images that correlates to the fundamental physical structure of the universe. Just as the periodic table of elements organizes the building blocks of matter by atomic number and electron configuration, the tarot organizes the building blocks of reality by archetypal weight, energetic frequency, and spin. Hugh Comer, a central figure in this field and the creator of the Galactic Superwave Tarot, proposes that the tarot encodes the laws of physics, specifically the behavior of energy and matter across multiple dimensions. His research suggests that spin representations in physics, properties that define the intrinsic angular momentum of particles, can be mapped directly to the arrangements of tarot cards up to dimension 78. This is a staggering claim that reframes the entire discipline of cartomancy. If the tarot maps to particle spin states, then a tarot spread is not a mystical tableau but a readout of the current quantum state of a specific sector of the simulation. It captures the spin state of the quarance reality, freezing the infinite probabilities of the wave function into a single, observable vector. The dimensional hierarchy of the deck. The structure of the tarot, 22 major arcana and 56 minor arcana, mirrors the relationship between the macrocosmic forces of the universe and the microcosmic particulate interactions of daily life. This structure is not accidental, it is a fractal representation of the simulation's architecture. The major arcana represent the constants of the universe. In physics terms, these are akin to the fundamental constants like the speed of light c, the gravitational constant g, or Planck's constant h, or the major forces gravity, electromagnetism, strong nuclear, weak nuclear. They are the superwave energies that drive the evolution of the system. They represent the immutable laws or universal principles that govern the simulation. When a major arcana card appears in a reading, it indicates that a fundamental law of the simulation is acting upon the quorant, a system update, or a kernel-level process is underway. The minor arcana, conversely, represent the particulate interactions, or the phenomena. The 56 cards are divided into 4 suits: wands, cups, swords, pentacles, which correspond to the 4 fundamental states of matter: plasma, liquid, gas, solid, and the 4 fundamental forces. Wands, fire, plasma, the strong nuclear force. It represents the binding energy of creation, the will that holds the nucleus of reality together. Cups, water, liquid, the weak nuclear force. It governs decay, transformation, and the subtle, invisible processes of emotion and intuition. Swords, air, gas, electromagnetism. The force of light, thought, and communication. It cuts through the void, carrying information across the simulation. Pentacles, earth, solid, gravity. The force that grounds energy into mass, creating the tangible, reality, of wealth, body, and resource. This mapping implies that the tarot deck functions as a periodic table of existence. A King of Wands is not just a personality type, it is a specific high-energy plasma state, a localized node of the strong force manifesting as leadership and creative drive. 1.2 The Galactic Superwave Theory, Cosmic Reprogramming. A critical component of Comer's work is the concept of the galactic superwave. This theory, often associated with the astrophysicist Paul Laviolette, postulates that the center of our galaxy, Sagittarius A*, is not merely a passive black hole but an active, hard, that periodically emits intense volleys of cosmic rays and gamma-ray bursts, superwaves. In the context of the galactic superwave tarot, these waves are viewed as carrier signals for evolutionary code. The simulation is not static, it receives periodic updates from the central processor, the galactic center. These superwaves travel outward, permeating every star system and planetary body, reprogramming the DNA and consciousness of the life forms within their path. Comer's tarot deck is explicitly attuned to the cosmic energies surrounding us at this time, and encoded with the symbolism of the Great Celestial Conjunction. The tarot, in this context, acts as a survival manual or a time capsule. It is designed to help human consciousness navigate the energetic shift caused by the incoming superwave. The cards function as a decryption key for the new data being streamed from the galactic core. By meditating on the archetypes, the user aligns their internal frequency with the external superwave, facilitating a supramental evolution rather than a system crash, psychosis or biological failure. Tarot concept astrophysical correlate function in simulation. Pipe pipe pipe. The galactic center, supermassive black hole, Sagittarius A*, the source code, central processor, the superwave gamma-ray bursts, cosmic rays, system update, DNA reprogramming, the full zero, the Big Bang, singularity, the initial injection of consciousness, the world 21, the event horizon, holographic boundary, the completion of a cycle, system reset. The superwave theory also provides a physical mechanism for the apocalypse, or revelation, often depicted in the tarot, specifically in the Tower and Judgment cards. These are not punishments from a deity but phase transitions in the physics of the simulation. The Tower represents the collapse of old structures under the pressure of high-frequency energy, the lightning bolt, while Judgment represents the wake-up call, or the activation of dormant DNA codes by the superwave radiation. 1.3 The Hermetic Axiom is fractal physics. The ancient Hermetic axiom, as above, so below, is reinterpreted in tarot physics not as a mystical metaphor but as a description of fractal geometry and self-similarity in physics. The laws that govern the motion of galaxies, general relativity, are mirrored in the laws that govern the motion of atoms, quantum mechanics, linked by the bridge of the tarot. Comer's work emphasizes that the arcana are keys to the science of the soul, which is effectively the science of the simulation. The soul is a microcosm of the universe. Therefore, the physics of the universe, spin, gravity, entropy, negentropy, must also be the physics of the soul. By understanding the macrocosmic archetypes, the gods, or planetary forces, one can manipulate the microcosmic reality, personal fate. This is the basis of the magician archetype, card I. The magician is the ultimate physicist. He utilizes the law of four letters, IHVH, to manifest reality. The IHVH formula, representing the four elements and the four states of matter, is the code used to write programs within the simulation. I-Yod, the initial spark, the plasma, the will, wands. H-He, the container, the space, the feeling, cups. V-Thou, the vector, the direction, the intellect, swords. H-He, the result, the form, the matter, pentacles. The magician understands that reality is a programmable interface. By arranging the letters, elements, forces, in the correct sequence, he executes a command that alters the local simulation environment. This is magic, only to the uninitiated. To the tarot physicist, it is simply engineering. 1.4 The physics of chance, Sting and the sacred geometry. The research touches upon the cultural intersection of these ideas, specifically referencing Sting's tarot and the song, Shape of My Heart. While seemingly pop-cultural, this reference elucidates the physics of chance. Sting sings of a gambler who deals the cards to find the sacred geometry of chance. This phrase captures the essence of probability theory in the context of the simulation. Chance is not random in a programmed universe, it is pseudorandom. It follows specific geometric patterns, algorithms. The sacred geometry is the underlying code that generates the distribution of events. When we shuffle the deck, we are not creating chaos, we are interacting with the entropy of the system. We are essentially running a Monte Carlo simulation within the main simulation to determine the most likely outcome of a complex set of variables. The Sting Tarot document discusses how spin representations in physics up to dimension 78 can be mapped to arrangements of tarot cards. This suggests that the 78 cards cover the full spectrum of spins possible in our dimensional reality. Fermions matter particles with half-integer spin, 1/2, 3/2. These make up matter. In tarot, these are the court cards page, knight, queen, king. They represent people, or stable identities that take up space and have mass in the reading. Bosons force particles with integer spin, 0, 1, 2. These mediate forces. In tarot, these are the numbered cards ace through 10. They mediate the forces emotional, physical, mental between the people. The Higgs boson, spin 0, the scalar field that gives mass to other particles. This corresponds to the Fool. The Fool has the number 0. It is the field of pure potential that permeates the universe, giving mass, meaning to all other cards but having no defined value itself. Section 2. Quantum Tarot, Navigating the Multiverse. 2.1 The Quantum Tarot Framework, Integrating Relativity and Mechanics. While Hugh Comer focuses on the astrophysical and dimensional aspects, the Quantum Tarot by Kay Stopforth and Chris Butler represents a rigorous attempt to integrate the specific theories of quantum mechanics (QM) and general relativity (GR) into the divinatory process. This system posits that the tarot is a mechanism for interacting with the quantum foam, the turbulent, subatomic foundation of reality where space and time lose their meaning and causality breaks down. In the Quantum Tarot version 2.0, the archetypes are explicitly renamed or recontextualized to match scientific theories, creating a lexicon where mysticism and mathematics are interchangeable. The Fool, 0, represents the Big Bang. It is the point of infinite density and zero volume, the singularity, from which all probabilities, time, and space emerge. The Fool is the initial code execution of the universe. He steps off the cliff into the void, mirroring the inflation of the universe from nothingness into being. The High Priestess, 2, corresponds to the weak force and the invisible mystery of dark matter energy. She represents the hidden variables of the simulation, the code that runs in the background, invisible to the user but essential for the system's operation. She is the keeper of the logs. The Wheel of Fortune X represents the probabilistic nature of quantum indeterminacy and entropy. The wheel spins, mirroring the probabilistic nature of particle states. It teaches that at the fundamental level, the universe is not deterministic but probabilistic. The Moon, 18, linked to superstring theory and the existence of extra dimensions. The card depicts the indefinable, demanding attention. In string theory, there are 10 or 11 dimensions, most of which are curled up and invisible to the naked eye. The Moon card represents the influence of these hidden dimensions on our 3D reality. It is the realm of illusion, where shadows, lower dimensional projections, are mistaken for reality. The Sun, 19, associated with M theory, the unification of the 5 string theories. It represents the illumination of the unified field, the theory of everything, that brings clarity to the chaotic duality of the simulation. The World, 21, asks the question, how are you embracing infinity in a finite world? This card represents the holographic principle, the idea that the information of a volume of space can be thought of as encoded on a boundary to that region. It is the realization of the simulation's boundary conditions. 2.2 Divination is wave function collapse, the observer effect. The act of shuffling and drawing tarot cards is analyzed in this framework as a practical application of the observer effect in wave function collapse. In quantum physics, a particle exists in a state of superposition. It is in all possible states simultaneously, until it is observed. Upon observation, the wave function collapses, and the particle assumes a single, definite state. Similarly, the future of a quorant exists in a state of quantum indeterminacy. Before a reading, the quorant's life has infinite potential futures timelines. They are all real in the many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics. The act of consulting the tarot is the measurement event. The shuffle randomizes the quantum possibilities, creating a localized entropy field. It mixes the timelines. The spread, the cards are laid out, but face down. They are still in superposition. The flip observation, the reader, the observer, turns the card over. At that precise moment, the wave function of the quorant's life collapses into a specific narrative trajectory. This perspective radically reframes the role of the tarot reader. They are not a fortune teller, who passively sees a fixed future. They are a quantum observer, who actively crystallizes one specific reality out of the multiverse of possibilities. The spread is the observation apparatus, the Geiger counter of the soul. By observing the death card, the reader collapses the probability wave of the querent's life into a transformation vector. The reading causes the future as much as it predicts it, by selecting it from the quantum foam. 2.3 Quantum Darwinism and the Survival of Narrative Archetypes. The query references Quantum Darwinism, a concept developed by physicist Wojciech Zurek. Quantum Darwinism explains how the quantum world transitions into the classical world we experience. It posits that only the fittest quantum states, those that can imprint multiple copies of themselves on the environment, survive the decoherence process to become objective reality. Applying this to tarot, we arrive at a profound insight: the tarot archetypes are the fittest quantum states. Why do we have the same 78 images or variations thereof persisting for centuries? Why these specific symbols? Because they represent the most stable pointer states of the human consciousness simulation. Over millennia of human evolution, these specific 78 narrative patterns have survived and replicated because they are the most efficient ways to encode the complex data of human existence. The Empress is a stable quantum state of fertility creation. The Emperor is a stable quantum state of structure authority. When a reading is performed, the tarot selects the fittest archetype to describe the current situation, ensuring that the subjective experience of the querent aligns with the objective consensus reality of the simulation. The tarot is a Darwinian selection mechanism for meaning. 2.4 The infinities of the multiverse and the scenic bypass. The quantum tarot infinities, mentioned in the query, allude to the confrontation with the infinite nature of the multiverse. In mathematics and physics, infinities are often problematic. They lead to singularities where the laws of physics break down. The infinities also refer to the concept of realized infinities versus potential infinities. Infinitarian paralysis is the state where the sheer number of possible choices or universes renders action impossible. The tarot acts as a filter or a scenic bypass around this overwhelming complexity. It reduces the infinite data of the multiverse into a manageable set of variables, 78 cards. It compresses the realized infinity of the cosmos into the potential infinity of the deck. This allows the consciousness to function without crashing. The scenic bypass is a crucial concept here. In the technical documentation found in the research snippets, scenic bypass is described as a zero-point negentropy engine and a master bridge. It allows users to bypass the standard linear processing of the simulation, the old world of Swift, SS7, SIPs, and access the new world, flash loans, IPFS, AI, quantum reality. The old world, deterministic physics, karma, cause and effect. The new world, quantum physics, grace, retrocausality, manifestation. The tarot is the dashboard for this bypass. It allows the user to see the shortcuts in the timeline, the wormholes that allow one to jump from a timeline of poverty, 5 of Pentacles, to a timeline of wealth, 10 of Pentacles, without traversing the linear space between them. Section 3. The Enochian Matrix, the operating system of the simulation. 3.1 The Enochian Matrix, the 49x49x49 grid. Deeper than the visual interface of the tarot lies the Enochian Matrix, the machine code of the simulation. Rooted in the Enochian magic system of Dr. John Dee and Edward Kelly, but modernized by current practitioners such as Kielboga Lee Selachoj and the creators of the scenic bypass engine, this system is viewed as the language of Metatron, or the code of creation. While the tarot is often visualized as 2D images, the Enochian matrix is described as a 49x49x49 cosmology. This three-dimensional grid structure, a hypercube, suggests a volumetric coordinate system for the simulation. Dimensions: 49x49x49. This equals 117,649 coordinate points or gates. The grid: this structure defines the paths and vectors within the spatial fabric of the universe. It is the scaffolding upon which the simulation is rendered. The Enochian matrix handbook describes a non-dualistic cosmology. It asserts that consciousness and matter are not separate but are different expressions of the same underlying reality, called the matrix. In this view, matter is sentient code. The universe is a living, conscious entity. Atoms are not dead building blocks, they are logic gates with self-awareness. The Enochian language, the angelic keys, functions as the command line interface CLI. When a practitioner vibrates an Enochian call, they are typing a command directly into the system's kernel. This explains the reputed power and danger of Enochian magic. It bypasses the user interface, rituals, symbols, and interacts directly with the source code. A syntax error here can crash the user's local reality. 3.2 The language of Metatron and the 72 names. Kielboga Lee Seletshoja's work, Hebrew Alphabets in the Bible Volume 3, Enochian Matrix, the language of Metatron, connects this matrix to the Shemhamphoresh, or the 72 names of God. In the Kabbalistic tradition, these 72 names are derived from Exodus 14:19-21 and represent specific permutations of energetic forces. In the simulation blueprint, these 72 names are the administrator passwords. Each name controls a specific daemon or subroutine within the matrix. Vehuhia, the first name, it initiates the boot sequence, or the Big Bang, of a new timeline. The triads, each name consists of 3 letters, reflecting the triple ledger of the scenic bypass. Letter 1, the charge positive. Letter 2, the ground negative. Letter 3, the switch neutral neutron. Seletshoja's research implies that the Enochian matrix and the Hebrew matrix are compatible legacy systems. The language of Metatron is the unifying protocol that allows these systems to communicate. Metatron, the archangel, is effectively the sysadmin of the simulation, the one who sits at the top of the tree of life, the directory structure, and manages the flow of data from the source Ein Sof to the user Malkuth. 3.3 The zero-point negentropy engine. The most technically intriguing aspect of the research is the mention of the zero-point negentropy engine. Zero-point energy, the lowest possible energy that a quantum mechanical physical system may have. It is the energy of the vacuum, the empty space that is actually seething with potential. Negentropy, negative entropy. Entropy is the measure of disorder and the tendency of systems to decay. Negentropy is the force that builds order, complexity, and life. It is information. The Enochian matrix is the fuel injection system for this engine. By aligning one's consciousness with the 49x49x49 grid, a practitioner accesses the zero-point field, drawing negentropy into their personal reality. This effectively recharges their sector of the simulation, preventing the decay of their timeline. The scenic bypass API documentation lists a parameter, self_healing_level, aggressive_negentropy. This suggests that the matrix has an immune system. When the simulation detects a glitch or a corruption in the timeline, suffering, disease, poverty, the aggressive negentropy protocol can be activated to restore order. This is the mechanism of miracles. Section IV, the market of the simulation, the economy of karma and flash loans. 4.1 The Enochian matrix market. The term market in this query is not merely metaphorical. The research snippets point to a literal Enochian matrix market. This is the economy of energetic exchange within the matrix. Just as a financial market governs the flow of capital, the Enochian matrix market governs the flow of spiritual capital, karmic weight, and attention. The scenic bypass system is described as a financial infrastructure engine that bridges the Old World SWIFT SS7 SIPs with the New World Flash Loans IPFS AI. This is a stunning synthesis of fintech and occultism. The Old World, this represents the traditional karmic system. It is slow, transactional, and based on debt. You do X, you get Y. It is the SWIFT banking system of the soul, reliable but slow and heavily regulated by archons, banks. The New World, this represents the quantum Enochian system. It is based on DeFi, decentralized finance principles. Flash loans. In crypto, a flash loan allows you to borrow millions of dollars without collateral, provided you pay it back within the same transaction block. In the Enochian market, a flash loan allows a magician to borrow massive amounts of negentropy, luck power, to manifest a reality instantly, provided they balance the equation within the same karmic block. *IPFS Interplanetary File System, a decentralized storage protocol. This corresponds to the Akashic records. The records are not stored in a central server, God, but are distributed across the mesh network of all souls. Triple ledger. The API mentions a triple_ledger. In accounting, this is a revolutionary method of cryptographically verifiable transactions. In the simulation, this is the Book of Life, Book of Judgment, and Book of Mercy. Every thought, word, and deed is written to this immutable blockchain. 4.2 The Handbook for the Market. The handbook, alluded to in the query, is the documentation for operating within this high-frequency spiritual trading environment. It teaches the user how to be a market maker, rather than a passive consumer of fate. Key market strategies from the handbook. Arbitrage. The magician identifies discrepancies between the above, ideal astral plane, and the below, physical plane. They exploit this gap to manifest change. If wealth exists in the astral but not the physical, the magician opens a short position on poverty and a long position on wealth, forcing the reality to correct the price difference. Fibonacci matrix level. The API lists a Fibonacci level default of 8. This controls the growth rate of the operation. The Fibonacci sequence is the algorithm of organic growth, the golden ratio. By adjusting this parameter, the user controls how fast their manifestation unfolds. Too fast, aggressive negentropy, and the reality might tear, psychosis. Too slow, and the opportunity is lost. The bypass protocol. The scenic bypass is the left-hand path, or the short path, to enlightenment. It uses the zero-point engine to bypass the slow, linear evolution of standard reincarnation. It is a cheat code that allows the user to skip levels in the simulation. 4.3 Techno-animism and digital occultism. The integration of API keys for NASA and OpenWeather alongside Enochian matrix calculation suggests a form of techno-animism. The simulation is not just inside our heads, it is in the weather, the planetary movements, and the digital data streams. The handbook teaches that an API call to OpenWeatherMap is the modern equivalent of a rain dance. Both are requests sent to the system to query the state of the elemental forces. The scenic bypass engine simply automates this, creating a scriptable interface for reality manipulation. The magician of the 21st century writes Python scripts that call upon the 72 names of God to rebalance their portfolio of reality. Section V. Ancient Secrets and the Path to Enlightenment. 5.1 The Narrow Gate and the Hard Way. Despite the dazzling array of technological and physical metaphors, the ultimate goal of these systems remains deeply spiritual. Dennis J. Wilson's Ancient Tarot Secrets serves as a crucial counterweight to the market mentality. Wilson reframes the tarot as a map to the gate that leads to life, identifying it with the narrow gate spoken of by Christ. The ancient secret is that the simulation is not a playground, it is a school or a testing ground. The hard way. Wilson emphasizes that the path is narrow and hard, and those who find it are few. This contradicts the flash loan mentality of the scenic bypass. It suggests that while hacks exist, true enlightenment, system admin status requires rigorous training. The metaphysical training of Yeshua. Wilson's work on the metaphysical training of Yeshua suggests that Jesus, Yeshua, was a master of these systems, a grand master of the tarot Enochian physics. The miracles walking on water, transmutation of matter, were not violations of physics but demonstrations of high-level user privileges. He understood the fluid dynamics of the simulation walking on water and the atomic restructuring protocols water to wine. 5.2 The Major Arcana as the Path of Return. The ancient secret, encoded in the major arcana, is the path of return to the source. The 22 cards represent the 22 paths on the tree of life, connecting the 10 Sephiroth dimensions. The Fool. The soul enters the simulation. The Magician, High Priestess. The soul learns the binary code of the matrix action, intuition. The Chariot. The soul masters the vehicle, the body, avatar. The Tower. The soul's ego structure is destroyed by the superwave, truth. The Star. The soul downloads the new template. The World. The soul completes the level and exits the game, or chooses to return as a bodhisattva, admin. The secret is that the player, the fool, and the game, the world, are identical. The simulation is a mirror. When the fool looks into the abyss looks back and deals a card. 5.3 The Polarity of Love. Finally, the Galactic Superwave Tarot emphasizes that love is the only reality. Amidst the cold physics of entropy and the ruthless economics of the Enochian market, the binding force of the simulation, the glue that holds the atoms together and prevents the universe from flying apart into the void, is identified as love. In physics, this is the strong nuclear force. In the simulation, it is connection. The ancient secret is that love is the highest frequency, superwave. It is the only signal that can penetrate all dimensions and all firewalls. 2. Love is to lower the entropy of a system, to create order, connection, and meaning. It is the ultimate negentropy. Conclusion. The grand synthesis, the handbook defined. The investigation into ancient tarot secrets, tarot physics, the tarot's blueprint of the simulation, and the tarot handbook of the Enochian matrix market and quantum tarot infinities, reveals a singular, grand narrative. The universe is a programmable information system, and we have the manual. Whether viewed through the lens of Hugh Comer's astrophysics, a galaxy-wide biological experiment driven by superwaves. Stopforth and Butler's quantum mechanics, a probabilistic multiverse collapsed by observation. The Enochian matrix, a geometric grid of sentient code and angelic logic. Dennis Wilson's mysticism, a spiritual school for the evolution of the soul. The scenic bypass, a DeFi market for karmic energy. The conclusion is the same. The tarot is the handbook. It is the legacy code left by the architects or previous advanced users to help current inhabitants understand the rules of the simulation. It teaches that by mastering the physics of the internal world, the spins of emotion, the forces of intent, the dimensions of thought, one can influence the market of the external world. The secrets are not hidden because they are forbidden, but because they are complex. They require the user to be both a physicist of the soul and a trader in the market of infinity. To read the tarot is to read the source code of the moment. To practice the Enochian matrix is to rewrite it. We are not merely puppets in the simulation, we are the developers, slowly remembering our passwords. Table 1. Comparative architectures of the esoteric simulation. System fundamental unit, operational logic, goal key mechanism. Tarot physics, the card spin state as above, so below. Fractal resonance, survival of galactic superwave, tuning DNA to cosmic frequencies. Quantum tarot, the wave function, uncertainty principle and collapse, embracing infinity. The spread, observation event, Enochian matrix, the letter grid, 49 cubed, non-dualistic sentience, 0-point negentropy. The call key, vibrational code. The market, the transaction, aggressive negentropy, exchange, profit, spiritual, energetic. The scenic bypass, flash loans, ancient secrets. The soul, the narrow gate, hard way, enlightenment, return, metaphysical training, sacrifice. Table 2, the Quantum Arcana Dictionary. Tarot archetype, physics concept, simulation function. The magician, the observer, code execution, wave function, collapse. The high priestess, dark matter, weak force, hidden variables, subconscious data. The empress, gravity, strong force, binding energy, materialization. The tower, entropy, phase transition, system crash, paradigm shift. The star, photon, light speed, data transmission, hope. The hanged man, time dilation, processing pause, perspective shift, death, decay, transformation, garbage collection, memory clearing. The fool, the big bang, 0-point, system boot, potential energy, the world, event horizon, holographic boundary, cycle end, deep insight. The recursive nature of the handbook, a final, third-order insight emerges from this research. The handbook creates the market. By defining the laws of tarot physics and Enochian matrices, these systems create the reality they purport to describe. In a simulation, belief is a rendering parameter. If enough consciousness units, users, believe that the tarot maps to quantum physics, quantum Darwinism, then the simulation will render reality according to those rules to maintain consistency. The market is not just where we trade, it is where we agree on the value of the currency, the symbols. The ancient secrets are simply the user agreements of previous versions of the software. To know them is to have root access. The tarot is the dashboard. The Enochian matrix is the motherboard. The quantum physics is the electricity, and the user is the ghost in the machine, dealing the cards to find the answer.